It's in John's vision that we learn where the Antichrist gets his power from, a seven-headed red dragon, which we are told is the devil. At some point, the beast is killed, but miraculously comes back to life, astonishing the world. Then, of course, there is the famous mark of the beast, the number 666, which people will be required to put on their right hand or forehead to prove their allegiance to the beast. Many have claimed that this is a clear description of the Roman Emperor Nero mentioned at the beginning of this video, and I could see why. He definitely checks off a lot of the boxes, but not all. Nero never ruled the entire world, although he got pretty close. He never made a 7-year peace treaty with Israel. He was never resurrected from the dead. He never forced people to take his mark on their right hand or forehead. In fact, no one in history can check all of these boxes, which means we need to cross off all of the dictators of history, like Hitler and Mussolini. This leaves us asking the question, is the Antichrist alive today? And if so, can we know who he is? To answer this, we need to look at our final description of the Antichrist found in the book of 2 Thessalonians. But before we do, I think it's important that we ask the question, why the Antichrist? Like, have you ever asked the question, why did God want the early church to know about the Antichrist when he knew they would never actually encounter the Antichrist in their lifetime? Thankfully, the book of 2 Thessalonians tells us why. This book was actually an urgent letter Paul wrote to the church at Thessalonica because they had a big problem. The Thessalonian church had received bad teaching from false teachers who said that Jesus had already returned and left them behind to experience his judgment. This made the church extremely afraid that God had abandoned them. They were so afraid that they even stopped working their day jobs and even retreated from public life altogether. And today, it seems like not much has changed. Just like in Paul's day, many Christians today are living in fear of end times events. They're listening to self-proclaimed prophets who are saying things like, God told me, instead of just opening up the Bible and studying what it says. So let's look at what Paul wrote to the Thessalonians together. In chapter 2, verse 3, Paul says, "Let no one deceive you by any means, for that day will not come," referring to the second coming of Christ, "unless the falling away comes first, and the man of sin is revealed, the son of perdition." He also refers to him as the lawless one. These are different titles that Paul gives for the Antichrist. Okay, now I'm going to highlight all the characteristics of the Antichrist in orange. It says that the Antichrist is going to exalt himself above all that is called God or is worshipped, so that he sits as God in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. If you skip down to verse 9, we also learn that he's going to work with the power of Satan, working signs and lying wonders with all unrighteous deception. So here you have some of the names of the Antichrist as well as a description of who the Antichrist is. But now I want you to pay attention to something else. But this is where it gets interesting. Notice the word revealed right here and right here. This word revealed in the Greek means to be revealed at a definite point in time. Also here. Now look at this, what is restraining, and he who now restrains. The passage says that the man of sin, the Antichrist, can't be revealed unless what is restraining gets out of the way. So in other words, whatever or whoever the one who restrains is, needs to be removed before the Antichrist is revealed. So what or who could this restrainer be? Some have suggested that maybe the restrainer is Satan, but this doesn't really make much sense because why would Satan want to hold back his own evil plan? Some have suggested that it's the governments of the world, but governments aren't powerful enough to hold back Satan's evil plan. This is why I believe that the restrainer is a reference to the third person of the Trinity, God the Holy Spirit. Right now, the Holy Spirit is holding back Satan's evil plan to wreak havoc on the earth. But there is going to come a day when the Holy Spirit will get out of the way, and it is on that day that the Antichrist will be revealed to the world. So, is it possible for us to know the identity of the Antichrist? Well, as I'm filming this video right now, no, it's not. At least not until the Holy Spirit is removed, which means us as Christians who have the Holy Spirit living inside of us probably won't be here for when that happens, but that's a topic for another video.